This is Ed Grindelski, Chair of the Town Council. I'll call this special Town Council goal-setting meeting to order. Okay, let's see. For roll call, Tony Gambatistas here, Kevin Catula, Ula Tick Barkley is here, Jonathan Cessalini, Ed Grindelski. John LaBelle, are you on? No. Okay. And Dave Griffiths, his wife is having surgery, so he's absent with notification.
Mr. Chair, Tammy Wakefield couldn't make it this evening.
Okay.
She sent her goals. That's the copy
Oh.
I distributed with the handwriting on it. And
Okay.
I'll submit the votes for her when the time comes.
Well, citizen statements and petitions. I see nobody here. There was supposed to be a few people, but obvious they didn't make it. That's okay. So we're on to new business, discussion of town goals. Discussion, folks.
Maybe we should go over what we accomplished from the goals from 2 years ago.
It's on the back of the agenda.
Right.
Ed.
Oh, okay.
Good idea.
Who would like to start? Oh, I guess, Ula,
I can turn mine off.
So, well, the first one was support additional funding for improvement to parks and open space. And we do have coming up on our agenda, wanting to acquire some property on North Road. I forget how many acres that was, and to sell the house and a little bit of the acreage to pay for the property. But I think, oh, and we've had several times developers have asked us for to sell town property, and we've denied that because we want to keep it as open space. So I mean, the process is slow.
and that's okay. I mean, we have an open space. We have the open space, so we've got to make it we can make it a little difficult to sell it, but we have to go through a process. Okay, if you want to continue.
No, I'm saying that we didn't want to sell it, so that's
Right.
because it's open space. But I think the first land acquisition is the one on North Road.
North Road.
Yeah.
Maybe, Brian, do you have any more specifics on that? Or maybe we should wait and.
I don't remember the acreage of that one. I think it was fairly significant. And, the concept was what Ula stated to buy it and then recover some of the costs by selling the house and keeping the remainder of the land.
And I don't know if we have enough funds in the open space acquisition account.
I think it would need a supplemental. There's not enough in the open space account. It might be like 50% there, 50% of the funds, and you would have to make an additional appropriation to complete it if you were to give them their asking price, so to speak.
I think that's totally worth it, because they'll make up for it with the selling of the house and the.
Well, that's what, I think that's why they said selling of the house would make it, but how that works, I guess we'll let the powers to be figure that out. You wanna?
That's us. We're the powers to be.
We also did a good job. I mean, when you talk about acquire space, protect or expand park recreation, I mean, Cat Hollow is a good example of that. We paid for the beetles, and then didn't we also have, was it bamboo? Was there invasive bamboo there that we were also paying to take out? So I think we've done pretty well there. And then Chase Reservoir, I believe, We did all the removal of the damaged trees that made it dangerous for people to hike there, so, you know, as far as those, I think we did pretty well.
Well, with Chase, we also got a forest management, and we got the logging operation that we got funds from. We made money off of that scenario. So that'll help. Prior to this, they were looking at a forest management plan, and there was no money or anything. Now, with this, however, everything came together. We got some good, decent monies off of this, and the forest operation is continuing to the next phase. So that's a positive scenario. And then once that's all done, that'll be a nice additional open space in addition to Cat Hollow.
And Ed, I definitely love all of our properties in Killingly. I like to hike all those small ones, you know, the one on Chestnut Hill, I think it is, or Breakneck Hill. Yeah, all those are great places.
That one's great.
And I totally support stewardship and helping out the Conservation Commission advertise that. I think that should be a goal of the council this year, because acquiring is expensive, but maintaining, especially with volunteers, is relatively minimal. You know, some cost for some lumber maybe for a small bridge or something like that. And I totally be out in the forefront, ready to help out with those kind of things.
Okay.
We got great properties in Killingly. We got great land in Killingly. It's gorgeous, and I think a lot of folks like using it. It's great going from the borough in my office, driving 4 minutes to a trail, and having a half-hour walk right in the deep woods.
And that's what some people are saying outside of town. They said they come here and there's stuff close by. They can come maybe downtown or even Killingly Commons, and then Owen Bell, Cat Hollow, but the other not as developed properties are available. So just following up on what you're saying. And that I think it's the 1897 is the property on Breakneck Hill Road. And that butts with, there's another group that has, we're behind it, but there's another piece of property in the front. I don't know what group, but there's a huge hunk of property up there.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And not granting that easement to the development on Hartford Pike was one of the best things. I wish the town would have purchased that property, because I think that Starbucks Plaza ruins Owen Bell.
Well, whether we're given the opportunity, that's water over the dam.
I concur with you on that one. That Owen Bell's a gem for us. I just couldn't see. I couldn't see that, hoping that the traffic would have been, I think, really, that would have been detrimental there. I did just kind of piggybacking on that. I do the Agricultural Commission. They're a great group of people, and they're always looking for connections with other groups in the area, and it kind of ties in with the community garden and the gardening club that works at Cat Hollow. And they just last Friday realized that the Killingly High School, through the FFA program, brings in 14 towns' agricultural commissions, and our agricultural commission had no idea that it existed. They were never invited. There was no communication between the two. So we just found out our meeting was last Wednesday, and they went it was last Friday. It was an odd time I couldn't make it. It was like 12 to 2, but they do it every year. So that's another, using, the community hours for those kids in FFA. It ties into, us getting some assistance at some of these parks. So it's tying all those together is part of we have the, Brookline has the oldest agricultural fair in the country. So these are things I think people really are vested in, and we should bring more to the forefront. We're seeing more cottage industry. Every time I turn around, someone has a little bakery at their house. They're doing these little, cottage industries, and it's a lot of good stuff happening there.
You in?
Some of the stuff we've had on here that I think was maybe not had as many people show up as we would hope for, but with Coffee with the Council, that we should continue doing that, because we do get contact with the public, and we do, that is a good extension of us when they can meet with us outside of the meetings. to continue doing that and empower the citizens, try to get them to engage, which we've had a lot of engagements here recently at the meetings because of what's been going on. It's getting people out, maybe not in a good way, but it's getting them out and getting us to react to their complaints.
And I still, the big item that I'm looking at, we gotta keep supporting the expansion of the sewer plant capacity, so, I missed the first part of the sewer meeting today, but economic development and other, residents were there expressing the need to get that going, because businesses in town they wanna expand, they can't, and then it seems like DEP is involved. It's a slow process, but we are getting there. So the sewer plant expansion is slowly moving forward. And if anybody has any suggestions or whatever, we encourage involvement in that regard.
I don't know if it's a suggestion or a comment, but someone had said there was a lawsuit, and I think it was in Connecticut, or I think it was in Connecticut, that it was in regards to sewer plant capacity. We have many developments that have been in the works for how long, that haven't been built, but they have been given capacity
Status within the Well, again, with that, if they want to keep building, it's been approved.
But what happened was somebody else wanted to build, and they said, no, we don't have capacity, so they sued, and they allowed those people to build because the other people had been holding off for so long, like,
Oh, yeah, we have some developments, some developments that are 20 years old and very little or no action. I don't, well, Brian, you've been only a short time. I don't know if you were aware of any potential lawsuits?
no, there was no lawsuits here, I'm just saying.
No, but I mean, I'm just saying is there anything that might happen here?
Yeah, I think it's come up in our discussions, actually, with some of the developments in Brooklyn and reflecting on some of the things that are on the books here, that one of our weaknesses is we don't have an ordinance that addresses a shelf life when we give somebody an approval. An allocation reserve essentially from WPCA. So it's one of the things we're going to look at when we look to revise the ordinance later this year. What's an appropriate time frame to build in so that somebody's not sitting on a sewer allocation indefinitely.
But every so many years, they still have to reapply, so that, I don't know where that plays into what you're saying, because, and then the state statutes, last year, they gave a
Like
13 year.
19 years or something.
Right, so that would be in conflict with, yeah, that would be, right, okay.
But they have granted all of the approvals or reapprovals. They should have said, okay, this has been 15 years, now we're done here. Because they always granted the approvals.
Well, yeah, when they applied, they did, but now they don't have to apply for the 15 years, so that gets to be another,
Well, that was anything, I think prior to
COVID.
2011. Yeah, the state went like, I think 10 years. But I think it's like 2011 is where they're granting the waivers. Somewhere around there.
So going back to this list, create short-term and long-term plan for constabulary program. Well, we're at 9 constables now. I think we're looking at adding another one in this cycle. I don't know if you can, oh.
Yeah. So you authorized them to fill 9. The 9th one has not yet been built into the budget because we paid for it out of the reserve. So in the budget cycle you're about to see, we're gonna build in the salary cost for the 9th. We have had some manpower issues and vacancies. So I think if the 9th gets built into the budget, at some point in the next fiscal year, we'll come and ask you to authorize a 10th and start that one out of the constabulary reserve, assuming your end goal is still to grow the program. If it's not, then we'll do something else. But that's where we are.
I think, yeah, because I think that building on Soap Street can hold like 20 officers comfortably. There was room for growth without going with a police station and all the costs associated with that. Because there's still a lot of people who are still upset about how the constabulary came to be without kind of under the rug, under the wire, and they didn't even know about it.
I do, the one thing I hear somewhat consistently is they'd like to see, I'm sure the officers are, obviously the town of Killenly's, it's good size, but in the downtown area, I hear a lot that they'd like to see some presence of them, you know, either on bike or walking. And, you know, like when we had, you know, obviously they were based down here, when we had town police prior. But I have heard that before, that they would like to see, you know, it maybe a certain amount of time or hours that they were present down in downtown Danielson.
But because we're with the state police resident trooper program, that determines a lot of their time where it goes. I mean, I think town manager has some discretion, but I mean, when we need something for the football game or something like that, I think he can get involved in that area, but most of it is with Troop D. And even the troop, they're not at capacity at all, so we're filling in a lot with that, even though they're in town. So we would have to increase our numbers. I don't know if there's an appetite for something like that. But
I still think you could designate one person on a bike during certain hours, just like Tony had said. It's not gonna be like 16 hours, like prime time of when people are in town.
It was just more of a comment, you know.
No,
as
no,
we're
I
going
mean,
through it of what
but
I've heard,
that's-
yeah. That people feel that if it's something you're paying for in your, you know, in your, not, you know, obviously Kinley Commons is very busy, but Daville's not as easy of a walkable area, I don't think, as downtown here. It'd be
It's
nice
a
to-
different scenario, right?
It's a different feel, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no residential outside of there, really. Where residential here is right on top of you, you know, east-west, at least.
Like item 9, previously, support brownfield remediation. Well, we just got monies for the sewer plant, the old borough sewer plant, so that's in the works, that's coming forward. If we could ever get Prims to be sold, there's potential monies there, but it's gotta be it's gotta change hands before we go in that regard. But there is action on Blueville, and there's action at Bailey Hill. So that's in the works. So we'll continue with that.
You skipped 6, better communication signage for elections and referendums. This has been a topic forever. I mean, Killingly's 50 square miles, and we have like 5 signs. And literally knocking on doors. People don't know when election day is. They don't know when the town meeting is. They don't know what the referendum vote is. And I've gone to some elections, and it's not even on the library sign. You know, they're advertising other things, but how come, you know, the election isn't being advertised? I believe there's that billboard, and somebody said that the town is allowed to use it or not. Maybe you'll have to check on it, 'cause
Or the
they
billboard on 395
Yeah.
southbound lane.
Yes. 1 year, Andy, had some signs made up for the vote, for the referendum vote, and we went and we put those signs up ourselves. I mean, if some signs were made up with when a vote was, town employees could know where they could post those on town property.
Because we have minimal signage they put up, the highway department puts up, but that's very minimal.
I think there's like five signs total, counting, stationary signs.
So,
These would be the ones that just go into the ground.
well, yeah, I kind of support that almost every time I talk about that people unaware, or even election day. Maybe at the new high school, because they put they didn't last time, but they got that, the trailer sign for the emergency management sign, they put that over there, so people on Route 12 would know that that's a voting place. But finding Westfield Avenue, it'd be nice to have something on Route 12 to alert that the voting is down on Westfield Avenue. Westfield Avenue, when you get on it, you kind of know, but if you're driving Route 12, that doesn't have. And then again, because it's state road, I don't know how we can, unless you get from the private property owners, we might have to get something from them to say we can put a temporary sign up for. That's been a tough one.
But to go along with the signage is the advertising. Things are advertised, this is in the Norwich Bulletin. Nobody gets the Norwich Bulletin. There've been many, many complaints, especially like the planning and zoning meetings, and it's very difficult to navigate the website. And everything is advertised in the Norwich Bulletin. There was a comment about, it would cost money. I think for important things like this, we should be paying the money to advertise so that people know what's going on in their own town.
What about like a monthly calendar in the Turnpike Buyer or something, for those who don't use the internet?
Yeah, but
You don't have to do one for every meeting, is what I'm suggesting, because that's expensive, believe me. A full-page ad is $400 per paper for the Turnpike Shopper's Guide, but, one per month that highlights the meetings might garner some interest. Just an idea.
Whatever, but then again, at one point, we were trying to use the Turnpike Buyer to advertise sort of the legal notices, and the attorney said, no, that is not for a state statute, that doesn't meet the state statute requirements of a publication. But, as you were saying, the Norwich Bulletin, nobody gets it.
I think the state needs to look at that. How old is that statute and where are we now? It's 2026. When was that statute
Oh,
written?
that's probably, yeah. I don't know how to, yeah. And then even looking for them, like you talk to planning and zoning, you talk to whatever, if we're gonna have an election, everybody's looking a particular day to see if the notice was in the Norwich Bulletin. And then I've done that. I used to get a subscription just for that, to get the legals, and miss it. You're reading it and you miss it, because yes. So I don't know, would have to put
So I think an ad even in the Norwich Bulletin being that small is not informing the public. It should be something that is substantial, that it's gonna pop out, because literally, you're right, they're about this big.
But we would have to do something to put money in the budget for advertising for that specific purpose. That it would be the town council putting in to say, we want a bigger ad. If that's something that, how that would work, but it doesn't, that doesn't cover the little small ad covers the legal requirement. The big ad would just be more informational, so we're in a catch-22.
You'd have to do both.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm saying, right, you do both, yeah, yeah. The legal one gets us, the little small one covers the legal requirements, and the
Does the
bigger
legal
one.
requirement have to be that small? Can it be bigger?
I don't know what, I'd like to see more exposure. How we do that, it's sort of, every time we talk about this, that the signage, whatever it is not there. And what's the best?
We should be able to use the library because that's our library. It should advertise when the votes are in town.
Most of the time it is, but, again, do I go by there all the time? No, so I don't know. But there has been times, I think I brought up to our previous town manager that, maybe, when is it gonna happen? Like, it's before the election or whatever. Oh, we're gonna do it, or we're planning on, tomorrow was, that's okay, because it was gonna happen, but how far in advance do we do that? Because even the signs that the highway guys put out, they only put it out 7 days before the election because of confusing of what Tuesday, vote Tuesday or something like that, maybe. And then Matt has been modifying them a little bit more lately, so they'll have a date on it. So maybe we can put them out sooner.
Well, that was the signs that we put up. It had like vote Tuesday and then it had the date on it.
Yeah.
But, you could have, painted over it.
But that was the Republican Town Committee kind of took that on there to spend that money.
No, Andy paid for that.
Oh, he paid it for himself? Okay, but again, it should be more of a uniform that,
Well, somebody had to take the step to get the signs out because we weren't getting anywhere.
okay. Okay.
I think we're at 10.
Okay, Vision Committee, they're working on that. We have the Vision Committee. I think a lot of this is what they're working on. So, 11 zoning changes.
I can speak to, like, the fair share housing basically is subsidized housing, and the 830G has been since the early 1980s? 1983, the 10% of affordable housing units. It's been for a long time, and nothing was written into any of the planning and zoning regulations about developers having subsidized housing or affordable units. So I am the one who had that added to planned residential development. I was actually told that it was illegal, and I said, no, it's not illegal. So 20% affordable units was added to planned residential development. I asked Jonathan if I needed to do a text change amendment to have 20% affordable units added to subdivisions and, what is it called? What's the other one for cluster development? And he said that they will be doing that. So they didn't even have anything affordable in their regulations. So how were we ever gonna get to the 10% threshold? They were relying on VA loans and HFA loans, but if somebody refinanced, then they lost that. And the state has a unfair way that they count units. So elderly housing only counts as a half of a unit.
Yeah, that
But I did get the 20% added into planned residential developments, and Jonathan is supposed to have 20% affordable units added into cluster development and into subdivisions, as should be, if you ever want to get.
but then, but like you say, once it's sold, on the original application, it's there, but how is it tracked?
I don't know how they track it, but it's supposed to be for like 40 years.
Brian, where do we fall now? Where are we at?
We were just under 10% at the end of the calendar.
But so we send in the information and the state takes it and says, yes, we are right, no, we're,
It's aggregated from different sources, so they take. It's aggregated from different sources, and then they make a determination as to what they think the number is. I don't think it necessarily has a high degree of accuracy to it, but they do the best they can.
To Ula's, I
Yeah.
think that's where I'm going with it. I don't know how to, but that's,
Some of it's deed restricted, some of it gets tracked in mortgages or loan subsidies that are handed out, some of it is in your public housing. So it's a mix.
but even deed restrictions, who is there to enforce? That's not there.
Well, the bigger question is, we're just below, well, what's the ramification? How far do you have to get below, and what happens if you fall too far below?
Once you're below 10%,
Yep,
any developer can come and build whatever they want and not follow any planning and zoning regulations.
so, okay. So your permitting through planning and zoning changes when you fall below 10%? You basically you're not following any of the regulations at that point?
Pretty much.
But
So when you fall below 10%, if they come in and apply to do the affordable housing development and they attempt to go through your regulations and then you try to shut them down, they can override you and say, okay, we're gonna do this anyway. And to a certain extent, they don't have to abide by your regulations. That's not absolute. There's still things that they have to abide by when it comes to public health. So, but yes, to a certain extent, it overrides your zoning.
And there have
Thank you.
also been developers who built the non-affordable, sold those, and then left before they built affordables in other places in Connecticut.
that's where the enforcement comes in. Who is the enforcement entity to really follow the rules? Then, again, once properties get sold, we're in almost a no-win situation. Are we not, well, as you were saying, we're a little bit below the 10%. Are we seeing any appetite by developers coming in and trying to, or there's no great rush for them coming in here to take advantage of that scenario?
Well, we have some level of interest in our brownfield properties when it's time for those to be redeveloped, to have some of that become affordable housing.
And
or
that's
workforce
exactly,
housing.
that was exactly our intent for the brownfield to be.
Right, but I was talking to Jill earlier today, the sewer plant down there is killing us in that because we can't go anywhere because we don't have the sewer capacity.
Well, the property in Belleville, that burnt, that mill, that had sewer capacity.
I
think that was 150 units.
But that was prior to the fire. Then once the fire happened, I don't know. I don't know if we lost that, because we had to start the clock all over again because it's a different type of development?
Well, that would be 150 units that, for capacity for the sewer plant then, if they lost it.
That's true.
I'm trying to, because there was something, if the building was still intact, and even when they were doing the demo, had they left one wall,
Yeah, I
but
remember.
they couldn't because it was unsafe. So that put us in another, I don't know enough about it, but that put us in a different category. Basically, we're starting all over again. But we need,
But it's still 150 units then somewhere of
Well-
sewer capacity.
well, yeah, that's why somehow, whatever we can do to get that capacity up, I don't know how. I mean, we were looking at, there was a discussion tonight at the sewer meeting, there's still some, they were supposed to be working with a deal with Frito-Lay, and that still needs some issues to be ironed out. But the sewer capacity is hurting us in almost every situation. So, yeah, if that was there, we could be doing a lot of housing and it would be clean. And there were developers interested in the old mill sites. But they need to see that if they can't tie into the sewer, they can't build. So they're not buying.
Ed, when was our last POCD written?
Is it 2020?
All right, so that's not really a concern for us.
It's not quite ready. But even with some of that, are we mandated to follow?
Oh, God, no.
See, that's
Just
another.
seems like a lot of town folks are concerned right now and here and now about development and what kind of development we want. So I just thought about that. But if, 2020 was a long time ago.
So we wouldn't be ready to start looking at that for a couple more years.
Sure.
But no, but I get it. A lot of people are talking about planning and zoning is not following the plan of conservation and development. So there's a little conflict, but we have to keep pursuing that.
Yeah, I think just when it comes to, the future of Killingly, again, we're dealing with a lot of boards and commissions here and developers and individual folks, but people are a lot louder nowadays about development than they were, let's say, 10 years ago.
Yeah, specifically.
Whether they're for or against
Yeah.
it. So it's just something to think about in our next 4 years.
Well, no, but it's trying to encourage, people to come to the meetings. Like tonight, there's nobody here, but the other night, it was pretty much full for the planning and zoning meeting.
Right.
So,
I think that's because more things have been advertised on Facebook and to make things
the
more
private sector is
transparent.
helping that out by social media and whatnot, so.
Making things more transparent as they should be, because you were at the meeting where we were told that people only show up to planning and zoning when something happens that they don't like, but they're not at the meetings. Well, when we were at the meetings, we were shut down, so.
Well, yes.
So
yes.
they say one breath they want you there, but in the other breath they say they don't want you there.
So, I mean, we continued to go there, even though we were sort of not, it wasn't welcoming. But we weren't gonna take no for an answer, and then you get a little snippet at the very end. But, like I said, and even a lot of the proposed text change amendments, again, where they're not seen by the public, so they can't come to the meeting to make comment. So, again, we have to budget even planning and zoning if we're looking at the election-type issues. We've got to put money in there for budgeting, for advertisements of planning and zoning issues. In addition to that little blurb that
Yeah,
the
'cause-
minimum requirement. I
'cause
don't know
no-
how we can,
Well, we run into this, it seems pretty consistently, and I mean, if you're covering what you have to, the publication of the Norwich Bulletin, we consider adding in the Turnpike Buyer, it's on the town website, and you could before an election, I think at a fairly reasonable cost, run a few ads on Winnie. I mean, many people that don't use the internet, that's who's listening to Winnie, are folks that are not on the internet, not looking. Maybe that's another avenue that's not that costly, that you could run ads and say, the town election, referendum, planning and zoning. I mean, I just
but
throwing
again,
it
I
out
think
there, because
we, as the council, would have to make a decision to put money in a advertising budget.
understood, but
I
if,
mean,
if, if it's part of a goal and we continue to talk about transparency.
Yeah, no,
And people not finding information, there's, we can only, if we offer as many as possible, I think that's, there's some things as we get forward, there's a few things that I think are harder to find on the town website and some things that are easier to find, and some people aren't on the internet, they're not looking there, so just another way. I think the folks that are listening to Winnie are probably a lot of the folks that are not on the internet and are not,
I think that's a good idea.
they're not seeing they may not be driving as much. That if you're at Maple Courts, you may not be driving much anymore. You're not seeing those. So I just, depending on weighing the fiscal responsibility of taxpayer money, if it's not outrageous, you're not running 500 of these a year. You're running
no,
them
that's right, minimal, but,
pretty minimal.
but, like, right now, well, Brian's gonna present the budget, next week? How, he's not prepared for, I mean,
You guys can add stuff to the budget.
Yeah.
It's not,
no, right, that may be what,
Well, I guess if we're doing our diligence, then the more we can, if we're giving 3 or 4 ways that you should know about elections, how many can you give? If we offer as many options as possible, I think then we're serving all the constituents, in every way possible. I think it's money well spent if it's reasonable.
but so if we're gonna do something, we gotta do it now if we wanna
We
do
do.
it for
Yep.
this budget cycle. To-
Do it now, it's
Oh,
no,
yeah, I
it's
mean,
no big
that's-
deal.
And I guess, well, it wouldn't matter, so if it's in an advertising line item, but it's gonna cover elections, P and Z, wetlands, is there one budget, or do we have to put piecemeal in different different line items in the budget to work that? I don't,
Could do it either way. I don't think it matters to a great extent which way you do it. I mean, just decide what you want advertised, where, how many times, and we'll get some estimates and.
You also could get free plug every month, because you're on every month, normally with Dave or Tammy.
Yep.
And are you allowed on that to mention when,
Yeah,
this would be more for voting, I think, than maybe a P and Z meeting, but I mean, when you have votes coming up, for the couple months before that, it's just another time that we can say that we're making it known
Well,
to the public what
They
these
could-
dates are.
They could say there's a, planning and zoning, public hearing, and say what the public hearing's for.
Yep.
That's more transparency.
And we do that to a certain extent. I mean, if there's something going on, like
Sure.
a parade, or we'll do, a minute on public service announcements at the end. So,
I guess we'll cover it when we do goals and. I think basically, yeah. I mean,
I think Winnie has that, community bulletin board they read twice a day. I don't know if that's a fee to get a plug on that. And it's short, they have a whole list of things that they go through, but they, if you had something submitted, they could be there might be a 10 or 15-second comment on voting Tuesday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Because see, even a lot of that, it's not just the voting is not just in town here, it's across, the whole state is doing that same vote. So that might get a little traction then.
Believe me, there's probably some people that would not think it's being election day in Killingly, so I think that's a good idea.
Item 12 here talks about supporting the Veterans Coffee House. Well, it's the coffee house, but it's in Putnam. We couldn't keep it up at the school, at the Broad Street School, because it wasn't sufficient to handle the issue. But
Well, I think they had an ask, was it from the coffee house?
Budget?
Yeah, there was something for the veterans.
I don't,
Seen that one?
but I know there was some discussion when we were talking about moving, when we went to the Westfield Avenue School, to put the coffee house there, but that was before they got the Elks in Putnam, and I think they're established there now, and that's, but we support it. I mean, so we got a few things. So what do we want to put for priority goals? I think that would be where we, maybe I'm gonna put the I'll take first stabs at this. The number one priority goal is keep moving with the sewer plant. That's the number one. And then, because that'll help economic development and everything else. I don't know. Then after that,
We keep following up with these brownfield grants for the, over there in Blueville. That's, I believe Jill had mentioned that's,
well, those are, I think that was already in the works.
yeah, in the works. And
So,
just,
well,
And it's all cleaned up too.
I thought they were doing a second phase. They had to do some more testing, and she had said the town crew was gonna go help clear some to complete that. I don't know where that's at. It might not happen till weather breaks.
but, and again, again, it's related to, we don't have the sewer plant capacity. We can't go that far along, but it's there. Yeah, we want to get the brownfields and the old burnt-out mills developed.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do remember that was allotted quite a bit for the sewer, because it had sewer there, but I don't know if that did get lost after the fire, or if that's still.
I don't know. That's where,
Do we know, Brian, if we,
why is it mine?
I feel like, in conversations I have, I feel like the allocation is still valid for one of those mill properties. And for one of them, there's nothing, so,
If anything, I think
I'm not 100% on that. It's conversations we've had in passing about sewer allocations that were assigned to one of the mills in the past. And I believe it's still valid, but I
So
can
that-
follow up on that.
well, it's just a piece that you just add on to, like you said, continue the brownfield, and then it would be, again, what's the validity of the tie-in? Do we have the 150 units for affordable housing? And we obviously tie that into raising us above the 10%, to getting us in compliance with the state, so we're not in a position with planning and zoning that we're having these witch hunts of, of people coming in and trying to do things with no regulation. I mean, it seems, you could tie those kind of all in together.
See, if we had the professionals, like I say, the planning and zoning jargon with respect to the housing, I don't know that enough. How do we, so if we get above 10%, but then if we get it below, do the regs change? What happens?
So when you're above 10%, and it can change from year to year, once you're above 10%, you're not under the threat of 30G.
Right,
So
But-
they can't come in and trump your regulations.
but how do you,
And just for, context, most states have a law like this, right, where you have to have a portion of your housing stock be affordable, and it's usually 10%. And most communities in any given state are under that threshold and live under that threat continually. And I'm not trying to downplay the risk.
oh, no,
but it
no,
doesn't- it's-
yeah, no, I'm just.
It's not like it comes along every day and bites you, right? So,
But if you're at the 10% and then you get below, your regs aren't, you're at the mercy of a developer, sort of.
But if we're talking goals,
We want to get to the
If-
10%.
yeah, if we're talking
Meet-
goals, with
meet the
adding on to
10%.
if we're adding on to Brownfield, and it's leading to Blueville being used for affordable housing, and we can get 150 units, and it gets us above the 10%, it's
It's a big win.
it's a big goal.
Big
It's a
win.
goal.
Yeah,
It should
big
be
goal.
it should be one of our goals that I think is, we know none of this is going to happen in 5 minutes, but it's achievable.
And that was the goal before it burned,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
They never had any, caught anybody in that or found a cause of the fire or anything? You don't know, that was before you, yeah, I didn't know if you.
So do we have one as WPCA, two as Brownfield leading into affordable housing?
I think communication with the public, because we had a big talk about that here tonight, would be
Yep.
one of the top 5.
I agree.
Meeting, communication, election, what, I don't know what we want to call it.
Transparency with, I don't know, town, important town.
Well, here is 7C, are we welcoming citizens to participate? So,
Microphone.
7C, are we welcoming the citizens to participate? So,
We are welcoming them, and they are participating in planning and zoning, so they haven't been shut down there, so.
Expanding notice of town meetings, we have to keep it somewhat generic.
well, no,
Yeah,
I mean,
meeting's a
yeah,
bad word,
yeah,
'cause
no,
that's
I mean,
specific, but
yeah,
I mean-
that's, it's here, how, again, we gotta be
Yeah.
a little more specific.
Because we can talk about it in the budget process, if it's a goal.
And under communication, if you could add up, like a subcategory of that, one I hear a lot is folks that are able to get a break on their taxes, whether it be veteran or age. I hear a lot that on the site, that it's many clicks in to get to that. And I think that those programs should try to be closer to the top of the page on the website. And that's, again, it's communication, anyone that we can help with their taxes or assessment, anyone that's available to those programs. I have heard a few times that it's a lot of clicks in to get to it, to find it on the site.
Or maybe it's just a phone call to the assessor's office. But, yeah, you'd like to do it anonymously when you're clicking on, but I
Just a
don't.
small one, but I've heard it a few times, so if people are having trouble finding it, and they don't know it's available, it's part of our communication to them. It's our due diligence to make sure that if people know that our programs available, we want them to know. We know there's people that are in the community that those numbers really matter to them.
So, how do you want to specifically identify that? Communication with the public regarding tax assessments, or?
That was just, convenience of website, like as a
Okay.
subcategory, where the notifications are on the website, just little things. I'm sure these are things that
Well-
have already been improved over the years, just,
Well, there was a lot when Ashley came on board. She kind of forced the issue.
yeah.
Oh,
I know there's
that's
a lot.
right, you're here.
And there
So,
was,
yes,
I've also heard there's a lot of improvements, so that's way more, that way outweighs the negative. That's certainly not a negative.
Well,
That's
listening
just
to
the
a
one I've heard.
conversation today that she's leading somebody through
Yeah.
and whatnot. And then I had one earlier today that my request was not valid.
So with like the tax relief, you'd have to go to departments, assessors,
Yep.
forms, applications, so we can definitely make that easier by maybe putting it on the homepage. Yeah, we've been doing like the buttons on the front for the PFAS and the dam and the, budget, we just made one for that, so it's definitely, we can definitely do that with the button right on the front page.
Something like that you could do, and when you do the button, is there different, does anything ever have a color code? Is it all the same?
So the buttons are, they're all maroon.
Yep.
They all have a different icon.
Oh,
If you hover over it, it highlights yellow, but it's not really a color. The calendar's color coded to
Yep.
town council, boards and commissions events, but the buttons aren't color coded.
That's right. But even, even awareness on that front page, at least, that way you know when the person's there. On that, if they can't, again, try to be politically correct, you should be able to find if it's on the first page. If it's that many clicks in, I can understand some of the strife and people not knowing it or not knowing many people don't know it's available. So that's another part, but.
Another thing we should keep up with is the infrastructure, roads, drainage. I mean, think we've made a big stride in improving that, and we don't want to get behind and let it go away. We want to keep it up, maintain it.
Well, we did put
What-
a lot in paving, that was paving, we did, well, Brian, what is our proposal? What are you looking at for paving in this budget? And the funding source.
So, what you're gonna see in the budget is a significant mill rate impact to continue level funding, the road management program. Because what we did in a previous, budget decision was subsidize the road management costs with fund balance. And to reverse that and restore it to a sustainable funding source is gonna have a mill rate impact of about 0.75. And that's to essentially level fund your roads at $2.5 million a year.
I think did we do 5 years, Kevin? And so it should be going down now, actually, wasn't that the plan?
I believe the plan was at some point was to peak, and then it was going to start coming back, pedaling down.
You're close to that. You're close to getting to the peak and then getting into.
I think we were given like multiple different scenarios.
Yeah, Matt had given us different scenarios of, you're correct, I don't remember 'em now, but I know he had.
Because I know we didn't pick the one with, like the greatest impact. We went with something in the middle, right? We didn't pick like the hugest impact to the mill rate. I don't think we should be at like 2.5 million right now. I think we should be lower. Wasn't it, how many years was it? Was it like 5 years?
It was something, for some reason I remember 2.5 and we went to 1.75, but I don't know if I'm getting that right, but I thought there was I'm sure at some point, that must be fluid with the cost of paving and so there's,
That goes up and down.
Yep.
Certain things you get grant money for.
Yep.
County road changes, you might be able to get cost recovery on certain segments of the road if you can coordinate with the utility company, and they're gonna go and make some improvements. They'll contribute some money to offset your cost, then you have inflation of the materials, seasonal fluctuation, there's a ton of factors. So it's always a moving target, and in my conversations with Highway and putting the budget together, I think they see a couple more years of funding at this level to get where they want to be, and then it can come back down. And the council's certainly free to
Well, that was the
change that
difference,
plan.
is they wanted the higher level of funding and we wanted to go with the more conservative. Because I don't believe there were,
That's a choice that we would have to make.
right, because I don't remember 3 years at 2.5 million.
I kind of, when they'd asked him what the number was, I was kinda thinking that was what he was gonna say for the number for this year. I know when we first come on, it was like, we weren't putting hardly anything into the roads. It was like 600,000 a year, I think, what we were doing initially. So they got a lot of repairs they had to play catch up to get back to save them.
I don't know the impact, but I do know the winter, that the roads seem to get beat up this year more than any I can remember in the last 20 years. So that's, none of that is probably helpful, but
Calls for pothole issues, does that come to you, or does that go to Matt, or does? Because to try to see where, because to your point with the potholes, are we seeing calls? Well, we don't really track that. We don't really track how many calls per year. We don't, or the time would be like, I don't know.
I think we could figure it out.
I don't know if that's a,
they seem to get called out. Sometimes I'll even see them on social media. I mean, the one at Kinley Commons was there for 2 or 3 days, and you could have lost a vehicle in it. I mean, it
well, they
was,
played with that for forever and ever, and I was going in there for something. They had the cones, and then the cones are
Yeah.
smashed on the side, and I think they went in.
I don't know if we're talking about Route 12 or the state highway
it was
So-
in Kinley Commons when you're
Yeah.
pulling in.
Yeah,
So-
so that's not us. Yeah.
But then, just before one of the storms, they were on call for getting ready for the snow. It didn't quite happen, and they were out doing pothole repair, because I saw one out by the KISS school, and I hit it, and, okay, I'll call them. And then we talked, I went by and it was filled. I said, wait a minute, this is Saturday, how it got taken care of, 'cause I hit it Friday. I says, well, and then I'm talking to Matt, for some reason, oh, yeah, it was during the storm, right, later on in the storm, the second one. Oh, yeah, we were out, we happened to be out, so they were here, we sent the pothole guys out.
But the chairman calls that sometimes.
No,
things get done.
no, it wasn't my call, I was after the fact, and they already took care of it, so by osmosis, he got the call.
As we're going through this, I do, a constabulary was on there, but going back to vision, I mean, it seems as though we're gonna get correspondence from them, I think, sometime in the third quarter is what it sounded like, third to fourth quarter from them.
Well, that's gonna sunset
I know.
in
It-
December.
It is, if we don't extend it, it will.
Yeah, it can be extended.
Yeah, so, I mean, because we're really just, I mean, I would hate to sunset it when we're just gonna get the information probably in somewhere around September, October is what we were told the last time they were here. But what I'd like to see, with coordination with the town managers, even though these may not be hard things, hard goals, I know in Putnam, they set a 2, a 5, and 10-year of projects that they are looking to complete and a roadmap of where they want to go. And with the vision committee, that's more of, this is what we're getting from input for what people would like to see from the town. But we also should look at putting together a calendar of what capital improvements, and you probably know which ones are on the horizon, things, that are gonna be capital improvements, buildings, roads, probably other stuff, like when we had the, what were the ones that we had to fix before we could move forward, right here, before the brickyard could go in, under the
Oh, we
culverts.
did the culvert, the box culvert, yeah.
But I think the public, when we're going back, it fits in with the vision committee and communication is, what is our somewhat plan fiscally for the next 2, 5, and 10 years of projects we want to get done. I mean, you can't really put a time on the WPCA, but you can put it on there of, as, at least as this is what we're, goals that we're working towards. So that's what they do in Putnam. And they actually, those projects, they do those projects. They do it and say, we're committing to this in 2028, 2030, and that's kind of how they've adopted it, and that's what they
Well,
follow.
I think that's what we kind of, if it comes here, we can say, we'd like this done within I guess, in cooperation with what the town manager thinks, I mean, well, we're not quite ready, or there's a funding source for that particular issue. Maybe we waited, because it's grant money, we wanna use that instead of using our own, but still, I think we have an idea, but infrastructure's in general, the roads and stuff, that's an ongoing scenario. But the building, well, we got the KISS school roof that they just came forward with. That's gonna be a huge number. Then the access road, I guess, is gonna be on our side. Well, we discussed a little bit of that today. I think that's gonna come over.
That's not tarred anymore, so that's gonna be a lot cheaper for the high school.
Yeah.
That change, it doesn't have to be paved?
Oh, that's what I was told.
I'm not gonna complain.
Well, I think that's,
Well, that has to bring the cost, that has to bring the cost down significantly, no?
I'm just throwing that out there. How it comes to fruition, in what manner, and that's a whole different scenario. As far as, yeah, so the school has, and then we're gonna, Westfield Avenue, we're looking at no increase in cost, it's just a time constraint that the contractor is taking his time, but we're pretty much within budget. Oh, no, we got the auditorium to have to look at. That's outside of the original contract.
There's the phase two, we're gonna be bidding to replace the heating system soon. So there's a conglomeration of funding sources that were penciled out, and when it comes time to award the bid and we have the prices back, we'll need to have the council vote that those indeed are gonna be the funding sources to fund that. So it's been discussed over the years, but I don't think there's been an official vote saying, this is how we're gonna pay for this. There's some old bonds that can pay for it. There's an existing bond that can pay for it. There's some ARPA money that can pay for it. And so all that will have to be wrapped up in your vote eventually. I think we have enough, but you have to make an official decision. This is how we're gonna fund it. Okay, so that's phase two, and then you have phase three are the ancillary things that they would like to have for the theater program that were not included in either the first phase or the second phase. And that's yet to be determined.
So maybe a goal is to finish the. Yep. Maybe finish the community center on Westfield Avenue encompassing all those little, well, they're not little, they're big, still big ticket items. But I guess we want to put an emphasis on that to get that, because if there's, well, but that will be a different contractor that is doing the main scenario. So,
Complete work on existing projects before taking on new ones.
but I think the auditorium could start without, I don't know, am I wrong? Could the auditorium start with, if we're not finished with the contractor now, or is that not good to have that?
I think we should wrap up with them before
Okay, all right.
take possession of that building and move into those spaces and start using them.
But, and as far as the existing work on Westfield, there's nothing that we can really do, other than talk about it here, maybe, and then whether or not the contractor moves on it. I mean, you guys are on it all the time, you're trying to, at your meetings, and the time frame still gets out, they're not moving, but
They're having a hard time getting contractors back to do the punch list, finish up on stuff that they have, stuff that didn't get completed for one reason or another when they were here, and, so they were meeting permit building committee is meeting downstairs tonight on, the phase for the heating phase. They discussed that. But there is quite a lag time. They were hoping April, but I don't know if it's gonna,
Well, we're close to April, yeah, I
I
know.
don't know if it's gonna make it.
But again, just to put us discussing it doesn't put enough pressure on the contractor. They just respond as,
They're having quite a bit of pressure put on from Mary Brom and from the architect.
well, that's what I'm saying, you guys are there and you keep, that's, but is there any additional how do you bring in a group of irate people to the building committee meeting and be what happened like last night at the planning and zoning meeting? We're gonna check your financials or something, I mean.
But
that's it.
I think for us, it's our job. Kevin always does a great job of making sure that the constituents understand how lucky we are with the people we have on the
Yes,
Permanent Building Commission,
Yes.
and that they've come in on many projects under budget, and that we're not gonna pay a penny more for this project. You know, of course, social media is always gonna run wild, but there's so much of villainizing some of these folks that are volunteers. And, it makes me nervous sometimes. When it's warranted, I understand it, but, you reap what you sow. And if people just disappear off these boards and commissions, some of these people have a lot of experience. And we may not like some of the regulations that they follow, but as long as they're following them, they're, to the letter of the law, a lot of these folks are doing a good job. And the Permanent Building Commission, I mean, that was impressive that they've gone, they've bid many jobs and they've come in under budget time after time after time. And to me, that's being responsible with, with the taxpayers' dollars. So,
but I was thinking more or less have the public come in and chastise the contractor, not the board.
But I
you
don't-
know?
yeah, they would-
Just whether it does any good, who knows?
yeah, that would be more,
Because,
that would be more probably publicly going after the contractor,
But, yeah, all
and
the
saying, hey,
volunteers-
this contractor's, it's public information, no? Who the contractor is? Yeah. So that's where people need to be more proactive and say, we have this contractor in our town, and this is the work we're getting. That's fair game to me.
So that's kind of where I'm going with that comment, that if public came to the building committee meetings and not taking it out on the building commission members, but, why didn't the contractor do this, and kind of put a little pressure in that regard. Sometime it works, sometime it doesn't.
But if you look at the people that have the negative comments, it's gonna be the same people, and it's not the majority of the town. It's just a very, very small. number.
I agree. They're unfortunately, a lot of times, people that are not coming and are not, and don't have any good information. They're just getting poor information. A lot of times is what it is.
So, I mean, maybe to summarize, so the number one priority is the sewer plant. Number two is continue the brownfield remediation on the mill sites. Number three, pursue, I guess, Blueville Mill. That's the one to get back to the 10% housing, so we're not, if that's workable within, again, if Blueville Mill is still approved within the confines of the moratorium, I think that then we can proceed with that. If the moratorium is killing that, that would be a problem.
You only need to make an effort that you're trying to comply. I mean, if we have, 20% affordable housing added into cluster development, subdivisions, and PRDs, and they're not being built, I mean, it's not the town's responsibility, it's in the regulations, and so we are making an effort to go forward with that. I mean,
But this would be an active, we're trying to it's getting the Blueville site redeveloped, but we want, if it isn't exempt, that's not the word I want. It can still be worked within the confines of the moratorium. That would be probably the only one. So that could stay a good goal, that it can proceed along. If we need to support monies or whatever, help Jill, whatever she has to do, you know, that, in that regard, that we gotta support that effort. Number 4, communication with the public, you know, upgrading the webpage and whatnot to be user-friendly, which I think it's happening, because, it's easy. So it's fine. I use it now and then, but not, it's hard. I am not here that I can say, I'm not doing it. So it's kind of hard to know what people are going through, not getting there. I've been able to know, most of the time I have hard copies of things, so I'm not in that realm, so I don't know what to ask the right questions there. Item 5, we keep pursuing our roads and infrastructure. Item 6, finish Westfield Avenue. Is any other highlights that we want to really push?
Probably should add somewhere in there, I don't know what it falls under the constabulary of just kind of what is, what is the temperature of where it's going? And, what, are we gonna keep adding? I don't know, you guys, but I think it's probably should be in there.
Or can we tweak how they but then there's issues at the troops, so that adds to the complexity of that situation.
I mean, it's goal setting. We're looking at the tree, not the leaf right
Yeah.
now.
I
So-
was just gonna say that.
Okay. 7, constabulary.
Now, we don't want too many goals too, because then we lose focus.
Well, I'm just,
It seemed like within those, like when you went for, like communication or brownfield, that the brownfields would include like, there was a couple things I think we could consolidate in to get 5. I'm pretty sure.
no, I'm open,
Yeah.
how do you want them? We can,
You had mentioned the brownfields, specifically the Bluefield Mill, to get to the affordable housing thing, that could be combined
so
into
those
one
two
item.
could be combined. The brownfield remediation with respect to, all of them.
All of
With
them, but
highlighting Blueville Mill, which would help us get the back to the 10%. So those two could go together. All right. Change that to number 2.
Brian, do you know how many of those apartments, are they called the women's apartments, the ones that are on the corner of Maple and Route 6? Those are affordable units. Do you know if they're all rented? I heard that only the affordable units were rented and the other ones were still empty.
I don't know. I know what you're talking about, but I don't have any knowledge about what's rented and what's not. Off the top of my
I thought
head.
that was outside of the realm of because I remember one night questioning how they got to that and to say we have, but if that helps us in that regard or is not included in that regard. But then, like you're saying, the criteria changes a little bit from, yeah, to a little bit, but is that complex counted? Yeah. If it's not, then it may be out of the realm of,
It should be counted if it has.
well, that's,
I agree, I thought that was the whole premise on when they built that, was they had to have so much affordable housing in their units, so many units. That was part of the reason they got funding for it, I thought.
well, that was all fun, that was all grant money. They found money for that where other entities could not. So at this point, we would have 6 items that would, we use it at that.
Under communications, like signage would be communications too.
Well, that's here, yeah, we got the communication, Where are we? The webpage and signage.
Advertisement, possibly.
Oh, that's right, I got that, okay. Well, the communication issue, we gotta get. There was, a number of years ago, there was talk about putting a signboard out at, the similar sign that we have at the library out at Owen Bell. That never happened. I don't know what costs are involved with something like that, or is that even a viable? Given your view now, being new here, I'd like to see your view on something like that, if you could, in your deliberations and talking with everybody, is that a worthwhile pursuit for us? Electronic sign at Bell Park? I don't know.
It's just a matter of cost, you know, and it's a high-traffic location. If you put a sign out there, a lot of people are gonna see it. It's certainly possible to do.
Because it sort of died. We were there ready to go, and then it
think a
fell
lot
on the
of-
wayside.
I think a lot of the pushback was because it's such a busy intersection already and road to have that extra distraction with the sign, but it's, I could see both sides of it, because it would get a lot of viewing there, but I don't know what the distraction level would be, you know, for drivers.
You know, that's what I got. Not a lot, but on occasion, I guess, well, you put the signboard up by the library, you discussed the one at Owen Bell, what happened? And it didn't happen, or the cost didn't happen, but do we get a bang for our buck? That's the other part, I don't know. When I go by the library, I always try to look at the sign, when I go by. So, but I know it's there. So I look for it.
I can certainly refresh where that ended and look at what the cost would be to do another one. I feel like there was also a zoning regulation or something that limited the number of electronic signs the town could have.
Oh, again, that's
And I
another
think that
layer.
was
Okay.
something
that's-
that zoning is looking at again to increase the number, so.
But again, under our communication signage and anything else, I mean, I
So do you want me to write these up?
yeah, okay,
To kind of reflect the discussion, and you can vote on them at your regular meeting?
sure.
Should we wait for Kevin for a motion to adjourn?
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I think we have to. There's only 4 of us here. But I'll second it. You're never gonna hear it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.